This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
The amount of times I've had friends come up and suggest something like a show that we're going to have today is not small. In the 199 episodes we've had to date, there's one void of a guest we have not filled, and this is my cliffhanger moment because we're going to fill this today. I cannot believe that we're here. We've had so many types of personalities on the show, from Olympians to CEOs to people fighting tooth and nail for equality. We've had master chefs and TV personalities and athletes and presidents of sports teams. It's been a pretty awesome ride. But let's take our time machine for a second and go back to episode 1. The very first episode of the Courageous Podcast was on June 23rd of 2020. And my guest on that day was with a founding astronaut of Virgin Galactic, Loretta Hidalgo, who remains a big inspiration for me today. I was actually just on a stage working with the team in Las Vegas earlier this month, and there was 100 powerhouse Salesforce professionals from BAMCO. Shout out to that team. And still to this day, I share a lot of Loretta's wisdom, including a personal favorite from her, which she has this quote: her definition of success is when there's no daylight between the personal you and the professional you. That is the one that has stuck with me after all these years still. Almost 3 years later, by the way, from that first June 23rd date, we found ourselves coming up on our 100th episode. The date was February 8th, 2023. And it was fitting to have, since it was our 100th episode, to honor 100, we had a centurion on, someone who turned 100. And after scraping the United States, smack in the middle of America, we found George Krumme. And George, as you can imagine, being 100, had packed a lot into his life, including honor and legacy and duty and 4 great grandchildren and 2 love stories. George shares a wealth of wisdom, including how his life was forever altered by World War II, where he walked away with the Purple Heart and the Silver Star. And on that episode, you might remember, if you've been with us from the beginning, George recounted both loves of his lives, including the first one, which lasted 70 years. My favorite line from the episode, when I asked George for like a little quip of wisdom, he's, again, at 100, he says, life creeps up on you if you're not careful. Thank you, George. All right, that brings us to today. Here we are at the end of January of 2025. I mean, I can't believe it's been 5 years since we started these puppies. We're officially here on the 200th episode. And while we've had a lot of old souls, and George was clearly the oldest guest we've had on the show, today I'm excited to introduce not only the youngest guest we've brought on the show, but drumroll please, the 2 youngest guests we've ever invited on the Courageous Podcast. I'd love to welcome onto the show today 12-year-old and my son, Micah Berman, and 9-year-old and my daughter, Mackenzie Berman. Hey guys.
How are you?
You guys excited to be here?
Oh yeah, so nervous but really happy. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of what courage is all about, right? In some ways, it's taking on stuff that we're nervous. And actually, I wanted to start off with a really, really cool quote. Okay, you guys ready to hear it?
Yeah. Ready?
I can't stop smiling.
All right, good. That's good. That's a good start. So this is a quote from Winnie the Pooh, and it says, "You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." And so even if you're a little nervous today, I'm really happy you're here. because
Happy to be here.
I have a lot to learn from you both still, and I'm excited that you're here. So I'm going to start my first question. And by the way, here's the deal, guys. I think you guys should also be able to ask questions. So if you have questions for me, you'll be able to ask, but I'm going to get a chance to start. Okay. My first question, Micah, is to you.
I'm ready.
And my question is, how do you go about defining courage?
I mean, every day, like, depends on the act. Like, every day someone shows at least the little sign of courage. I mean, I go by, but like being who I am, and like, even if people are like, blah, 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 ha, 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 I'm like, I am that, and no one cares, you know?
And the word you used that I really liked was like the action part. Like it's kind of not courage without the action part. And both of you are really, really big into theater. You both love to act. Speaking of act, right? And recently you both were in a play. Mackenzie, what play were you last in?
I was in the Tasty Pudding.
Okay. And what was your role?
I was a sous chef, and my brother here was.
The chef.
Okay, so you guys had pretty big parts in this role, yes? Did you guys get nervous on stage?
Yes.
I was like so nervous.
We have our auditions tomorrow.
And for our next night, and no, our auditions were last week, but we're getting our parts tomorrow. And we are just so nervous.
Well, can I ask you that when this is now not your first play, right? Tasty Pudding wasn't your first play. You guys were both in Beauty and the Beast. You've been in some other shows too, right? What's the Percy Jackson show?
Percy Jackson, yep.
Yeah.
Like Disney.
Okay, so I'm wondering from the very first time you were on a stage to now, has it gotten any easier to get on stage, or is it still just as scary?
Well, it's definitely easier. I'm more like, I feel like every play has something to do. Like it's a lot more easier to say like more embarrassing lines and like just play your part because you're acting with people you know and acting with people you trust in the company you know. It's just a lot easier because like you had more experience.
Yeah, the day I started acting, I was like, I'm never gonna do this again. And after that play, I got a pretty good part with my best friend, and we worked it out. We practiced all the time, and now I'm just like, oh yay, we're going on stage, and I'm comfortable. I'm awesome with it.
It's like you're so excited for the show, and then you're like, it's the show today. Oh my gosh! It's like eat them fast.
It's just like,
Do you guys feel like do you feel like all of the practice and preparation makes you more ready because there's people watching and they want to be entertained and they want to feel and they want to be moved? And so I kind of get the sneaking suspicion that you both really like being on stage. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, from my point of view, the stage is like a portal into a different world. It's just open, like a TV show.
yeah, it's just like,
open there for you to watch the mystical magic.
like, for example, you're ready to do the show, it's auditions, then you walk onto the stage, and it's the day of the show, and it's just like so exciting and fun.
It's also cool because it's like you'll see your friends. You're doing it with friends, and then you also see them the next show or the next one. So you know, like it's not really goodbye because you both love the shows. You know.
Yeah, because like once we're in one, we're like a part of the whole group, which I love.
Family. It's a family.
Yeah, speaking of family, like when I think about when I was your age, and to be clear, and so the audience knows, I was the Mackenzie of my crew. My Uncle Matt, my brother, was the Micah. He was the older brother. I was the younger sibling. And what's crazy is that Uncle Matt loved to be on stage, and he was really good at being on stage. And I was, not really that interested in being on stage. It's sort of funny that here we are, and sometimes, you go and do keynotes. And this, let me know if this lands with you guys. Okay. So if this is like, so one of the things that I've learned about myself is I still get nervous to get on stage when my purpose outweighs my fear, and it keeps me on my straight and narrow. When my purpose outweighs the fear, and so if I get on the stage now and I'm like, I want to help this team have more confidence, or come together and feel like they're a team again, or maybe sometimes daddy has to have a hard conversation with the team, right, and like have a real tough love moment. And so even when I'm nervous, I always try to remind myself of those little nuggets. That's my purpose. So my purpose outweighs my fear, and it gives me the courage to get on stage and still do it. When you're transforming into your characters, and Mike, I'll start with you because right now I'm thinking about you were literally transformed into Beast in Beauty and the Beast, right?
Yeah.
And so, when you're on stage, you're like, I need to be Beast. How much of you was thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to remember my lines versus I'm going to be this character and Belle, and I have to go do my parts of try to, at the time, keep Belle out of parts of the, right, of the castle, but eventually it's kind of a love story with Belle. That's what's happening. You don't have to talk about that part, but let's talk about the fear. Was there fear?
Yes. Well, for a couple of things. Yeah, I had most of my lines down, but it was more like getting into the characters that made me nervous. B, it was cool because there were people from my school in the cast and people from my school going to the show. So it's like, well, if I mess up, it's okay, but also people know from my school. So I was nervous about that, but there's one like I have 10 seconds to switch costume change. It's really fast. In the end, it worked out mostly, and yeah,
I would say it worked out. I thought you both were amazing in the show, and you reminded me. Someone once told me that fear actually stands for false evidence appearing real, which means there are times when it's not even the thing happening. You're thinking about it and you're scared or you're nervous, or you're like in your mind, you're thinking about how, oh, I'm going to mess up and someone at school's going to see it. It didn't even happen. But in your mind, it feels like it did happen and it's big. So that's something I think that's a pretty good nugget that you can take away is fear is sometimes people say false evidence appearing real. It's not real. It reminds me of another quote I wanted to share. Courage is doing what you're afraid to do. There can be no courage unless you're scared. This was an Edward Vernon Rickenbacker quote. So, Mackenzie, when I say courage is doing what you're afraid to do, there can be no courage unless you're scared. Can you share somewhere where you've been scared, but you did it anyway?
Definitely at Sky Zone. I was just scared and I was like, well, it's my birthday. I should do something new for a record. And I was like, I'm not going to do this. Then I just closed my eyes and jumped off and it was like, let's do it again.
I suppose you're referring to Skyjaw.
And yes. And now I'm just like, I do it every time I go to Sky Zone. Also, belaying. I was really scared to go down that mountain. And just like once I lowered down, I was like, let's do it again. This is awesome. And yeah, I just want to do it again now.
All right, now let's make sure the audience is tracking with us. So Sky Zone, there's Sky Drop, which is super high up, and you climb up all these stairs, and then you get to the very top, and it's kind of terrifying because, like, you don't really want to do it, but you do it. But then you get up there, and there's people waiting behind you, so you kind of feel like you have to do it, and then you leap off the platform into this it's like cushiony in the bottom, but it's all the way down. It's not like a little jump, right?
Yeah. And you know what, Skydrop? There's two things I want to say. The first thing is a really good teacher I had. They always said fail is first attempt in learning, like not like that, like what you said for fear. And then I wanted to say like Skydrop, it's like acting. Like honestly, this happened in multiple plays where my first part of the play, I don't have any lines. It's just walking across the stage or something. And that, like, the first moment when you walk on is the scariest. And then no matter how many more times you walk on, you think you can do this. This is the first moment of seeing the audience. And then you can't look at the audience and just work.
Just go from there. And then belaying, by the way, belaying was actually belaying. Like we took a family trip to Utah, went to Zion, and one of the activities we did was we hired a guide, and it was kind of icy out. Remember, it was super icy, and hired a guide who this is what they do, and we all went belaying down the side of a mountain. And if I'm correct, pretty sure Micah went first and Mom went second,
I loved it.
and then Mac went third. And by the way, I was like last to go. So
I got the record. Yeah.
I was so scared. I was like, first of all, watching you both go like just drop down and me not being able to see you, I was like, oh my gosh. And then I thought, I'm definitely gonna slip on the ice, and this is it. Thanks for
Yeah,
playing.
there was this little ice puddle, like, right on the way, and if you fall, that sucks. But, like it was the worst spot, you know?
Yes, I would say it sucks. I have a question for first Mackenzie and then
Alright.
Micah. Okay. So one of the reasons that I wanted to bring you guys on is that a lot of parents that are our friends thought, you know what? I love the idea of courageous kids. And I love the idea of teaching kids to be more brave. And we have lots of friends that play sports and who act and who, are trying to achieve and excel in school. So, Mackenzie, first, are you excited that we're covering this topic of courageous kids? And then, in your mind, what does it mean to be a courageous kid?
It just means everything. I like being courageous, and being here is just amazing. But I think it's a good chance for everybody to get a chance to speak how they're feeling about courageous.
And how are you feeling about courageous?
I'm feeling great. Sometimes it's just a bit nerve-wracking and you just feel like, oh, I can't do it, so let's just give up. But sometimes you feel like, well, this seems scary, but I also want to do it. And you just prefer it and you love it.
To add on to what Kenzie said, courageous, I sometimes think of it as I got to be courageous. And I also sometimes think of it as your company name, courageous. You know, two different, like, rather like a whole courageous or solo courageous, it's still the same amount of using courage.
Do you feel like well, Micah, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Can you tell me one place recently where you felt you've been really, really brave? I'd prefer if it was maybe something at school and not at play.
At school? Honestly, it was honestly just a couple of days ago. I could not find my iPad and I was like freaking out. And and I found it and I was like, but I was like really scared about not being able to find it. And I had to power through and stay calm and retrace my steps. And I found it in the end and now I have it.
Do you feel like you are surrounded by courageous kids at school?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has the courage. Like everyone has the courage. It just takes the manner of using it. Like Kenzie could always belay down the mountains. It's just that she needed to unlock that courage to do it, and she did. Like everyone can do it. Everyone at school has courage. It's just a matter of unlocking it.
Well, I love that answer. And I know you guys have a number of questions that you had prepared for today, and we're going to get to those in a minute, okay? And then I'm excited I think you've got mostly questions for me, but then I think you have one question for each other too.
I have a mystery question for her.
And I have one for and two for him.
All right. So before we get to that, when I say the word
What word?
bravery, Mackenzie, where does your brain go first?
I just go to like when probably I do something that I feel really strong about, and I feel like I just feel brave. Like different moments, like the closest moments that have happened to me and the farthest. Yeah.
Like yesterday, I felt when the music was on and we were shooting hoops, you got that face. We were just practicing. I almost felt like that was, I mean, I don't know if do you feel like that was brave?
Kinda.
Kinda.
I have a very weird manner of thinking of the word brave. When I heard it, my brain thought of something different than my actual brain. I thought of 30 Bradens.
Braden's
I don't know. I don't know.
cousin.
Yeah, my cousin.
Is he brave when you guys play laser tag together?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, yeah, remember Brave really laser tag?
What's up, Braid? Low, now we gotta say hi to Kylie and Cora and Noah, just so everybody feels they've been heard. Shout outs to everybody.
Peyton.
And Peyton and Cooper, Micah Berman. I'm gonna hand this over to you for the first question.
I have a special last question, and it's your choice if you'd like to use that question first or last.
Well, since it's your last, let's save it for the last.
I'm gonna say, who is the most courageous person in your life, and do you admire him?
Really good question. Really good question. You know, I have a secret to share with you guys. So it's funny that I started with a quote from Loretta Hidalgo, who was the astronaut that I met, because she also said to me, it takes you 40 years to figure out who you are in the next 40 to be that person. Now, don't be freaked out because you guys have a long way to go and you kind of know who you are at 9 and 12, but you're also going to practice other things and you'll feel differently at 15. You'll feel like you know yourself at 20 and 25. So one of the things that she taught me when I got to 40 and beyond was to try and design a life where I am surrounding myself with lots of courageous people. Through all of that, I would say somebody that I wildly admire who's super courageous is my wife, Randy Berman, who had the courage to go back to school during COVID because she was passionate about being a therapist. And she was also passionate about raising you both. And I think, we made a decision for her to stay home. By the way, do you guys like my answer?
Yeah, I do. Do you want her to go next? I do have another question for you.
Mac, I think it's your question.
All right, she'll take it away.
My first question for you is, what was a time where you were scared, like really scared, and you had to be courageous and you did it and you were very proud of yourself?
Well, my first thought, which is not going to be my answer, this will be a quickie, was belaying with you because I was icy out. But I think the most scared I've been was when I knew I was leaving my last company that I was one of the founders of, which means I was one of the people that started the company. And I had not started Courageous yet. So like imagine if we had a time machine and I was nervous and scared and like I'd spent my whole career building up to that moment and had surrounded myself with some really super talented people, but also knew in my heart it was time for me to go. And I knew something deep down in me had fallen in love with the idea of courageous. And I knew I couldn't do it from the seat I was in anymore. And so imagine how you might feel like leaving your school and going to a new school and having like new classmates. Maybe that school is in another city and you have to start all over. In some ways, that's kind of how I felt, where I knew in my heart it was time for me to go to that new school and go to that new place. But I didn't know how I was going to go because none of us have a crystal ball to tell us what the future looks like. Really, really good question, Matt.
Also, I wanted to go to a new school because I felt, well, all my friends go here, so maybe I could take a break of this school and maybe move back to that school another time. And I just did it and I am loving my school. I have a bunch of friends, including Frankie. I've been friends with her for years and it's just my school I feel like is awesome and I don't think I want to change schools.
What's up, Frankie? Let's give a shout out to Frankie. Also very good at acting.
No, Matthew and Hunter. The
You did also Matthew and Hunter. We're gonna give shout outs to all our besties. That's what's happening here. All right, Micah, I would love to know your next question.
Well, I was gonna say, would you like to give the questions, or do you want me to go?
I think you should give one more, and then Mac, I'm gonna have you give one more, and then I'd love for you guys to ask each other a question, okay?
All right, so my question goes along with your answer. Honestly, I was like really bummed when you said about your old company because that had a lot to do with my question. But when you left IDEA, what was the scariest part of starting a new company from scratch? And why did you want to call it Courageous? And when did you get this big idea about it?
Well, I had the idea back at IDEA, and we used to call it IDEA. It was the actual name of it, but I think IDEA is just fine. And I don't think how it even came about. Like, I was just trying to write a book about courageous ideas to help our last company, and we still believe that courageous ideas are the only ones that matter, and that means like dream big and go for big ideas, right? I think the way I would wrap the answer to your question is that I never thought I was going to start another company. It was only after I met with a number of leaders that I realized that courageous ideas die without courageous leadership. And Micah, one of the things I'm really impressed with you is that you've become a leader of your sixth grade. You're in student council, and I should ask, do you enjoy that role?
Honestly, I love it because it's fun to be up there. It's fun to make your school laugh, and it's fun to educate them. I love my fellow student council members. They're awesome. I mean, it's cool because I've a good friend in my class who's in student council, and it's cool to see all their ideas. And we all got in it. We all got voted by our classmates, and it's cool because it's not only fun, it educates and it teaches, and that's why I like student council.
And I think this would be a good time to also admit and share. Mackenzie, you had the courage to go for a role at student council. Didn't you try it? Didn't you try out for student council too?
Yes, I did and I think I need to make my script a bit more like readable so they can believe that I'm actually that because I am and I really wanted to be in student council with Micah's last year, but that didn't happen. But I'm going for another try next year.
We'll get it next year.
And I think that's a big part of it. Can I share another quote with you that I really love?
Yeah.
Okay, it goes, courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow. And that's what you're going to be, Mac. Tomorrow you're going to try again and get back on that horse and see what comes of it. All right, Mac, let's hear your last question for me.
Okay, let's decide. When were you scared? Way too scared, and you had to deny being courageous.
I actually couldn't do it. I wouldn't push forward. I think we're kind of tiptoeing into a concept that us adults call regret. Have you guys heard of regret before?
Yes.
Okay. So like this feels like, do I have any regrets? So I'm really, really lucky to report that the regret list is pretty small. Like I got a chance to go and live in New York City, which we just got to go check out for the first time, which was pretty fun. Yes.
Yes, I loved seeing everything there is pretty cool.
And then I don't regret moving to California. But the one regret I probably have, and there's still time, is I'm still very fascinated by Hollywood and storytelling and writing movies. And I thought I was coming out here to eventually move to LA, guys, and go up there and give screenwriting a real shot. And I had written 3 movies in New York, but never really did anything with the scripts. I never even gave them a shot. So let me tell you one, while I regret that I haven't really given it my 100% all on like writing scripts and promoting scripts, I have no regrets that if I would have moved there, then you guys wouldn't be here. Like, I'm so grateful that I'm here and that I met mommy and that because of that, we have this amazing house and life and family here in San Diego. So, although I don't know if I was like super scared, Mackenzie, to go up there, but I know in my heart I did not try my best to really go after that goal, and there's still work to be done there.
Yeah. Well, technically your book is making a movie, right? One of your books.
Well, the Landon story will be a documentary, so we're on our way. Although that's still a little over, I think, a year and 3 months away. But I am very excited for Landon too on that because it's a great story. All right, Mackenzie,
Yes.
I would love to hear your question for Micah.
Okay. Micah, which one do you want to do? Actually,
Give me your best. Hit me.
how many times have you had to be courageous and like you just went on and you had no regrets?
Honestly, I think one of the favorite courageous times are at our favorite park in the world in Maryland. She was getting tossed around by some friends I made at the park that day. And I'm like, I had to brave up and say, I'm not going to play with you if you keep bullying her. And so we left and we went to play on a different part of the playground. And yeah, but that's probably one of my favorite non-regret moments of
I love that. All right, Micah, what do you have for Mackenzie?
Mackenzie. This is like Dad's question. Who is a courageous person you know and admire who's not in your family?
Probably. This is hard. I have a lot of courageous friends. Am I allowed to do cousins?
You can do anyone. Well, cousins are in the family. Yeah.
All right.
Actually, yeah, you can do cousins.
Okay.
It has to be one person though.
I think Julia, she goes head first for everything and she's really kind and courageous.
That's very kind.
She does a lot of fun things with me and her friends.
That's a great one. And she's not a cousin. She's a friend from school, right?
Yeah, I've known her for a while.
Her brother is actually one of my best friends. So
Matthew, or as you call him, Matthew.
Matthew or Dormat.
Okay, I'm glad we got that out of the way. Great answer, Mackenzie. Do you have I believe we still have a mystery question, but before we do, okay, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. And I know there was times where you guys were excited but also really nervous, and you both prepared and you both worked on questions, and I'm excited to see who we invite on the 300th episode. Because think about that, Micah, you'll be 15, Mac, you'll be 12. That's a long time from now. And as you guys continue to think about being brave and taking on hard stuff, whether it's in school or things that you're passionate about, I think you both know Walt Disney. Yes, you're very familiar with Walt Disney. You know he's a real person, right?
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, so Walt Disney said all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. And so what all mom and I want for both of you is to lock in on the things that you are passionate about. You have to prepare for them because other people are also shooting for their dreams, right? But when you do, All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. This has been an awesome episode. I know we got a mystery question coming from Micah.
I also have one.
You have a mystery question too?
Okay, it's just my major question. It's not a mystery.
Oh, that's a major question. I want to hear it.
Let's go.
Okay. So you guys can both answer to this, but have you ever pretended to be courageous, but you're like not courageous at all and you just want to be cool?
Oh,
Good question. You want to go first or me?
I'll go first on that one.
Okay.
Honestly, I am a pretty honest person. If I were not courageous, I would probably just be mad. And I, I mean, I usually am pretty showative. I'm not usually like pretending to be cool or anything. I'll just be me, like I said at the beginning. I'm not like the one who will pretend, you know?
I love your answer, Micah, and my answer is kind of the same. You know, Mackenzie, there's been times in my life when I was younger where I know for a fact that I would do something because I thought it was cool. And the older I've gotten, the more I've realized, the more I can stay true to who I am, the better off I'm going to be. And so, yes, the answer is absolutely. But I mean, that's probably 20 some years ago. And I'm still growing and I'm still learning about myself. So guess what? That never stops. Even at my age, you'll still be curious. You'll still find things that you like. But what I now know to be true is that I deeply care about certain things. And I also kind of, this might sound almost mean, and I don't mean it that way, but like, I also kind of don't totally care if I bother somebody like a bully. Like, do you really care if a bully doesn't understand you? No. So like, I'm just trying to spend all of my time and energy focusing on things that light me up. And usually that's people that are going for it, that are being brave, that are pursuing their dreams, that are like trying to do something. And so any parent or any one of your schoolmates or anyone that's in school that's listening to this show, you know, my advice to you is just do everything you can to lock in on that thing you're passionate about. If you're passionate about throwing a fastball faster, if you're passionate about learning how to ride a bike, if you're passionate about acting, if you're passionate about belaying, if you're passionate about cooking, if you feel those little sort of goosebumps, those little nervous butterflies in your belly, and that's where your energy is, then keep going after that. And I would also say for any adults that's listening, and guys, this is really good for you to hear from dad. I kind of feel like one of my secrets is that anything reminds me of myself as the little boy, I'm in on. So like playing soccer or going to the movies with you guys, right? Basketball, like anything like that, stories. I gain energy from those moments. And so if you're an adult listening and you feel like you need to kind of go back to being that inner kid inside you and it brings you joy, go find those things and do them too.
Before the mystery question, I have two things, or one thing to say. To all those kids out there who are listening to this, like what you said, Dad, lock in, guys, you're gonna cook.
Lock in and cook. Lock in and cook. I like it. All right. Mystery question. This is what we've been waiting for. The moment we've been waiting for. The mystery question.
You brought this up a bit, so I'm scared you're gonna answer the question for yourself. For your 300th podcast, if you had to pick one person to bring in that was not inside the family, who would it be? Would it be celebrity? Would it be someone you just met? Would it be a friend? Who would you bring in for your 300th?
Or would it be someone that you played with in your childhood?
And can you answer this question?
So my first initial thought was a woman named Oprah Winfrey. It would probably be my hope for my 300th episode guest. Oprah spent a living staying curious, and she had her own TV show where she had all sorts of people on her show. But she was direct. She was loved. She was thoughtful. She is, not the was. She is thoughtful. If you guys don't know who Oprah is, by the way, I will show you who Oprah is. She still does some acting. She still does some interviewing, but she's just somebody that I admire, that has a really big worldview. And by the way, it's kind of funny that that's my answer, because it isn't like I have on some board, here are future guests I want. Oh, another guest I would want, but maybe not the 300th, is Judd Apatow, who writes comedy movies. Hilarious. Maybe we'll get him on a 250. This is the end of the show. I would love for each of you to think really quickly about how you would love to sort of provide one final thought for everyone that's listening, and then I'll kind of wrap us with the final thought, and then let's go eat dinner. What do you think about that? Mackenzie Lake, Berman, you get the first wrap up. How do you want to wrap up? Is there a final thought you have, or final word, or how would you like to end?
Actually, I wanted to ask you this at the start, but I didn't have time. What is your word of the year? It could be courageous, it could be kind, it could be fun, funny, like any word of 2025.
Wow, that's a biggie. And I didn't see this coming, because this is called Final Word, and you're actually asking me what my final word is. And it's a really good exercise. So I think anybody that's listening, I would be thinking about what your word of the year is. My word of the year is devotion. And what that means is to really commit myself and devote myself intentionally to the things that matter most. And so there are times this word may or may not be as, let me know if you know what this means, but I now almost every day say to myself, maniacal devotion, which means I'm laser focused and devoted on achieving specific goals for both myself and for the family and the business. All right, Micah, take us home.
All right.
Wait. What's your word of the year?
My word of the year? Probably, let's see. I was either thinking comedian or like keep things light. There's a lot of stuff going on in the movie every day. Sometimes we just need a good joke to like make us laugh.
I like it. Lighthearted, comedian, good word choices.
Like, I am like, this is everything to be in the show, and like I love doing this, and honestly I would do this again for like anything. The podcast and all of the fun things that you ask us, and I hope you do it to our friends too.
Well, listen, I think it's been awesome that people have gotten to get to know you guys and your personalities. Micah, I think one last comment and then we have to wrap. So what's your closing statement?
First of all, please don't say rap. I'm starving. Second of all, I want to say this is a statement that happened in the podcast. It's just like unrelated. But I was going to ask you, if you had to have one commercial beyond here, what would it be?
No, we're not. Well, I wasn't doing questions, but if we're going to do a commercial, then the commercial will be for Courageous. This is brought to you by Courageous on the Courageous podcast. What do we want everyone to be?
Courageous.
What I wanted to end with was one last quote. It's from Zig Ziglar, and I hope you both take this to heart, and I hope the guests take this from heart. And again, anyone that's listening that has a big idea or a big dream, the quote is, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. And so maybe there's something exciting or new that you want to do and move forward. You just have to get going, and you just have to start. You don't have to be the best on day one. Just get going and just start, just like you guys have done with acting or anything else that you've done. Now, thank you so much to both of you. I'm so happy that you gave us an hour of your time. I love you. What a great show. Let's go make sure Mom's okay. Mom, by the way, Mom has the least interest of being on this podcast, and that's okay. Let's go see how she's doing now. Sound good?
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.